What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Babbles Nonsense podcast. Today, we are diving into something I feel like we all experience, and that is the gap between how people see us and who we actually are underneath it all. You know, that old saying that says, like, don't judge a book by its cover? Well, it turns out everyone judges that damn cover. And are we surprised by that? No, because humans are shallow, and I mean everyone. No one is perfect. But if I'm being real, the way people perceive me isn't always the truth of who I am either. But go figure. Also, little side note, we will be talking about ChatGPT in this episode, so please know that I am aware that this is not a replacement for therapy, and if you are going through something, you really need to talk to someone, whether that be a life coach, a therapist, a friend, family member, and not AI. Also know that ChatGPT learns what you want to hear, so if you're doing any research or self-reflection through chat, you also have to learn how to use ChatGPT, so meaning you have to ask for a non-biased opinion or to answer in a way a therapist would to break it down to you. Otherwise, it's just going to learn your behaviors, what you want to hear, and agree with your behaviors. And I didn't realize that until I heard a therapist on Instagram actually say that. But anyways, that's my little caveat about ChatGPT, since we will be talking about it in today's episode. But we will also be talking about the version of ourselves the world sees, the real us underneath the smile, the outfit, the vibes, and how this gap shows up in our relationships, careers, and self-worth. So if this is a topic you've been interested in, then this one is for you. All right, guys, like I said, I wanted to talk about like the difference between how people see us and how we see ourselves. And the reason like I got on this topic was I saw this trend where people were uploading photos of themselves into ChatGPT and asking for like brutally honest feedback, read, whatever you want to call it. And yes, I know this is ridiculous and it's probably killing the planet. Like, I'm not even lying, look it up. But curiosity won, and I just had to try it because that's what we do. We follow trends as humans to feel like we fit in. So I uploaded a photo from my Instagram. I know this isn't a visual podcast, so I'll try to describe it a little bit. So it was just like my hair was softly curled. It was down, which I don't do often. I was wearing dark lipstick, like a purplish plum fall color, sitting in my car with the sun on my face, just smiling, where I had on like baggy dad jeans and a tank top with a sheer overlay. So like trying to be casual but styled, going to brunch. And so that's the photo uploaded, and this is what chat said. And honestly, like, it gave me the idea for this episode because it's something we all deal with. I feel like people think they know who you are based on social media or maybe even listening to like a single podcast episode, and they think, oh, I've got you pinned. I kind of know who you are just through this. But the truth and the reality of it is they only know the version of you've chosen to share. Like, I don't know how many of you all do this, but like, it's been proven that, you know, we post photos on social media and stuff for dopamine hits. And I'm like, there's moments in my life where I'm doing it just because like I'm sharing, but then there's moments in my life where I am doing it because I'm going through something that maybe I'm trying to not feel as bad about, or to try to distract myself, or whatever the case may be. And you post something to get that validation from outside sources. Like, I'm going to be 100% honest. I've obviously done it. I feel like the world has all done it. I mean, it's not always that way, but like, how many times have you posted something where you might be sitting there on the couch crying, but you post a photo of you like looking glam, gorgeous, whatever, and that's not even the reality of what you're sitting in that moment? Like, I remember I was not feeling well one day, and I posted like an old video, and someone even made a comment. They were like, well, you couldn't have been feeling that bad because you posted a video. I was like, literally, that video was taken like 2 weeks prior, and I was sitting on the couch not feeling well and posted it. So it just kind of gave me the idea for this topic. But anyways, back to what chat said about my photo. So chat said that how people see me based on my photo is confident, bold, and magnetic. Big smile, dark lipstick, styled hair, giving main character energy. People assume that you thrive in the spotlight. They see you as high standards, put together look makes people think that you don't settle easily. You're in style, you have friendships or dating. Some even feel intimidated. It also said that I look outgoing and extroverted. You look like the life of the party, always upbeat, always social, never insecure. And then the last thing it said is that I looked polished but intimidating, that I've got my life together vibe, making people keep their guard up around me. So that's crazy because, I don't know about y'all, but I have had chats with chat about, just like inner conflict and stuff, just to kind of get research and understand my feelings a little bit better when I can't get into therapy. So chat knows like my inner thoughts. And so this is what chat said, but who you actually are. So that was what they said based on the photo that I took versus who I actually am. So chat says I'm actually confident but sensitive. Yes, you carry confidence, but sensitive to being misunderstood. You feel deeply even when you laugh it off. You're driven, but crave peace. You're ambitious, chasing goals, but secretly longing for something steady and safe, a place to exhale. You're outgoing, but not all the time. You can light up a room, but constant socialization drains you. You need solitude to reset. And then you're you have a strong exterior, but a soft core. You have boldness, sarcasm, and style as armor. Underneath, you are loyal, nurturing, and craving depth. So brutally put, people think you are a powerhouse who never doubts yourself, but in reality, you're a powerhouse who feels everything. You've just learned how to wear your armor well. So yeah, like chat nailed it. When I read this, I was like, that is so true, because I hear it from so many people that maybe listen to this podcast or they see me on social media and they're just like, you have your life figured out. You've got so much going for you. You look so confident. You're so beautiful. Like those are the comments that I get, right? But in actuality, like that's not always how I feel. I feel very insecure sometimes. I'm much introverted than people think. Like I really do get social anxiety and get drained. Like that's part of the reason I started this podcast, thinking that it would help or cure my social anxiety. I mean, don't get me wrong, it has, but I've also been doing a lot more single episodes lately, just because, work is crazy and life is crazy. But at the same time, like when I do interviews, I get so insanely awkward and nervous just because I haven't had that in a long time. But yeah, so I just thought it was crazy, like based on a photo and like how we dress and how we, upload things and have the right lighting at the right time. Like that's what someone can visualize off of you. But then it's funny that chat was like, but actually who you are, and like nailed it right on the head. Like I can be outgoing. I can be the life of the party, but then like I'll go home and like have to like sit for the next 2 weeks. I wouldn't say that I'm the most confident person. I would say that has developed over time. But so basically, let me summarize this because there was another, like it was just said, this is from chat. So in summary, from the outside, people see confidence, big smile, styled hair, bold lipstick. It screams you've got your shit together. They think you're magnetic, extroverted, maybe intimidating. Some assume you're high maintenance or that's your life is perfectly mapped out. But here's the thing. People read surface level cues and build entire stories in their heads. And most of the time, those stories have very little to do with the truth. They're just reflections of what they project onto you. So I just thought that was a cool little exercise. And seriously, it gave me the idea of this, podcast, because I'm like, how many people actually know the real us and like what we go through? Like I tend to be vulnerable on here around relationships and stuff like that. Now, do I give my whole vulnerability out there? 100% not. Like I don't tell everybody everything. Obviously, I'm not name dropping things. I do mention things that are going on in my life, but like only to the tip of the iceberg of it. Like it's not the in-depth web that I sit and think about constantly. So like the real part, like where we can take what people think about us is like, who actually are we? Like, do we take what they say and that's who we are? Do we allow people to dictate who we are? Or do we then turn inward and go, that's not who I am. Like, what do I want to portray? Because is that who I am? Am I this confident, life of the party, driven? In some aspects, sure. But I'm a lot softer than people think. I really feel things deeply. I overthink a lot. Just ask anyone I've dated. I wrestle with insecurity all the time. I think a lot of us in this generation, in this era did, especially men, I would say, even though they don't talk about it a lot. I feel like our generation grew up with parents that didn't really teach us emotion and didn't teach us how to deal with emotion when we had it. It was more like sit down, shut up, more so men. And so I think we do have a lot of dysregulated adults that don't know how to regulate their emotions or know exactly what they're feeling. So we lash out and act out instead of like channeling that and knowing what we feel first. But again, that's a whole nother conversation. Like that's just being an adult and realizing that. But for me, like I do crave safety more than the spotlight a lot. And maybe subconsciously I am putting out there in the universe that I want all these other things that people think I want when actually it's usually the total opposite. And I wouldn't even call myself confident on most days. Like at work, yes. But in my personal life, no. The confidence I do have, like I was saying earlier, has really come from therapy and learning to like the qualities in myself that others once told me were quote unquote too much. For example, I've been told I'm blunt a lot. I call out people I just call out people just because, and maybe that is true. Maybe I call people out too much. Maybe I am too blunt. Maybe I could soften up a little bit more. But the truth is, therapy has taught me that the same bluntness that intimidates some people is also what makes me honest, direct, and impossible to be fake with. So, what people are calling quote unquote too much, I've learned to call that's who I am. And I've had to learn and accept that part of me. I used to like fight it off all the time. I'd be like, no, I don't want to be that person. But then the older I get, the more I do. I love that quality about myself because I want a friend like that. I want a partner like that. I want someone to call me out on my bullshit and be like, what are you thinking? Now, am I immediately going to agree? Am I immediately going to like that? No, nobody likes that. Nobody likes to sit in their own shit. Nobody likes to be told that what they're doing is wrong, hurtful, whatever. Nobody likes that. But the thing that I love about myself is that I can do a lot of introspection and I can go within and be like, okay, let me try to understand where this person is coming from. Let me try to put myself in their shoes. Let me try to find some situation, some scenario in my life that can make me relate so that I can truly try to empathize and understand. Because there's a lot of guys, terminology, when we say, oh, I have empathy for you, like sometimes that's not even necessarily true. Empathy is where you can truly put yourself in someone's shoes. Like you've maybe had a very similar experience. So you truly can empathize. And I know that a lot of us call ourselves empaths and we want to be empathetic. But the truth is a lot of times we're just trying to have compassion and we have sympathy for someone where we can't truly understand where they are coming from if we've never been in the situation ourselves. But that doesn't mean that you can't have compassion for the situation or sympathy for the situation, but that's a whole nother tangent. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. So let's just get it straight. Like for me, confidence does not mean that it's bulletproof. Confidence means that you've learned how to put on your armor before you walk out the door. So behind the exterior, like what you see, yes, I am confident, but I am also sensitive. Yes, I am driven, but sometimes I also want inner peace. I want someone to take on the load. I love people, but I need solitude a lot to recharge. I look strong, but at my core, I'm very loyal to a fault and I'm soft-hearted, which I know doesn't get portrayed a lot. And this duality, so many of us live in, like a lot of us do this. We have this mask that we wear and then we have what we allow other people to see, like a strong exterior, but a tender interior. Let me tell you this. It does get exhausting when the world only validates one side of us, but we also have to realize that we're only allowing the world to see one side of us because we're so afraid. It's that inner fear that if we show this softer side of us, will they still care? Will they still like us? Will that make us that attractive quality? You know what I'm saying? So that's where I am going to shift a little bit into relationships and see where that kind of, can get a little interesting when we're only showing one side because people are drawn to that, like I just said, people are drawn to that confidence. Like that's how people meet, right? Like most days, like either a dating app or social media, like whatever you're putting out there, that's the initial attraction. And so people are drawn into that initial attraction, whether that be confidence, your looks, whatever it may be. And then they're shocked when they find out like you feel deeply, or maybe you need reassurance because you're not as confident as because it just doesn't add up in their mind of what your pictures with, I guess maybe the personality they built up in their mind. Some partners love bold, fiery versions of you, but when that softer, vulnerable side shows up, they don't always know what to do with it. Because again, we're just portraying that one side, and then we get nervous to bring out that other side in us. So like dating wise, I can't say I show up super confident. I will say one guy I dated, I learned recently that they didn't like that I called out their flaws, like when we were dating, which I was never directly told that. This just came from like indirect findings, I guess. But I get it. Like no one wants their flaws called out. Like I was talking earlier, like nobody wants that. Like nobody likes to sit in their own shit. But I think the intent was possibly missed, because I wasn't like trying to call out flaws and being like, well, this is what you did versus what I did. Like it wasn't like that situation, but I can understand if someone took it that way. It was more for me, like when I'm doing that, like I'm just trying to bring a different perspective to the table to be like, hey, like this kind of is similar to this scenario. Like, can't you understand it from this perspective? And am I doing it perfectly? No. I don't have a therapy license. I just have books, podcasts, and my own therapy sessions from what I've learned and, trying to navigate life the best I can as well. And am I doing it perfectly? Hell no. Like, is anybody? No. But what I will say is I respect trying and willing to grow. Like if we just stay stuck in it and we're like, no, my way is the right way every single time, then no, like we're not growing as humans. And what are we doing? So that's why, like earlier, I don't think I finished my thought, but like, that's why like I like friendships and partnerships where someone also calls me out on my bullshit. Like I may not like it in the moment, but I will respect it because you didn't let me just, carry on this fake scenario, fake person. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to explain it any better. I know it's just jumbled at this point, but here we are. Here's what I've realized. We love people the way we want to be loved, and we try to understand people the way we understand ourselves. And that doesn't always work. Like that doesn't always like intermingle well, because sometimes we have to put ourselves in their shoes, even if it's uncomfortable, even if we don't want to, even if that's not your person, even if that's not your favorite person, or, I think sometimes we have to try to understand, like everyone has different love languages and learning languages. And I think that's what makes it's so hard in today's world, because relationships just aren't about chemistry or butterflies. Like I know that's what the movies tell us, but let's be real, that fades. Relationships are about showing up consistently every single day, which honestly, let's be real, is a very hard choice to make in today's world when there's so many options, when there's so much to choose from. Like, honestly, I don't know, like I want to believe that love still exists in this world. I really want to believe that in my heart of hearts, but being single for so long and then dating different people, and I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever had a guy actually just choose me. Like it's been like, and I get it. Like some things, like if it's an ego pride thing, like I can completely understand, but also knowing me, which is where I have to break down, like not everyone thinks like me. Like I love really deeply and I love really hard. So there's not a lot that I can't forgive. Like obviously there's core values there that if those are broken, that's hard to move, like trust and stuff like that. But like there's not a lot that I can't overlook or forgive if we have communication and we work through it. Now, if it's a repetitive behavior, then obviously not, because that's just someone manipulating the situation. Like that's just someone that's like, well, clearly you don't have any boundaries, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing to you to hurt you. And that's just a form of manipulation and just ridiculous. But if someone is really trying, like obviously no one's going to change overnight. We're on this earth, like I'll be 38 this year. So I've been on this earth 38 years and I've set up, I have these trauma responses and I have these subconscious things and I have all these things that I'm trying to work through and I still don't get it right. So if someone isn't trying to actively work on it, then obviously it's going to be even harder, right? But anyways, enough about that. This shows up outside of dating, like people like personas and stuff like that. Like at work, people assume you can carry the weight because you look like you've got it. And then of course in friendships, people assume you don't need checking in on because you're quote unquote the strong one. I've literally had family and friends tell me that they didn't think that I needed them because I was quote strong. Which I get, that's the energy I do give off a lot of times. But sometimes, like, I just wish someone would just step in, even if it was like for 2.5 seconds, and just carry the load and just be like, but really, how are you? And not accept, oh, I'm fine or I'm good as an answer. Like, those are the people that truly, like, when they know, like, I have friends like that. When I'm like, I'm good, they're like, no, you're not. Tell me what's going on. Because sometimes you just don't want to be a burden. Sometimes you just don't want to unload. And that's where chat has become one of my good friends, which I know the planet. I get it. I'm trying, guys. It is what it is. But the truth is, in all of this, we all want someone who sees past that armor. We just want someone who, doesn't just love the highlight reel, doesn't just love the social media post, doesn't just love, whatever validation you can give them, but also can sit with us in that messy middle, because we all have it. None of us are perfect. None. And if you think you are, that is just absolutely insanity, because no one is. So I'll end with this. If you've ever felt misunderstood or like people only see half of who you are, just know that you're not alone. I'm there. I'm currently going through that. The human experience obviously is messy. The trick is finding those people who can love the full picture, because the ones who only love your shine but can't handle your shadows, those are just not your people. They're not my people. They're just not. And we have to stop trying to make them our people. The ones who can love both, like for me in that photo, the bold lipstick and the quiet tears, those are the ones that are worth keeping close and keeping in your circle. At the end of the day, your armor may protect you may protect me, but it should never define us. So thanks, guys, for hanging out with me today. I hope this episode gave you permission to own both sides of yourself, both the bold and both the sensitive. Until next time, keep babbling, keep being real, and don't let anyone mistake your armor for your whole identity. All right, guys. Bye.